thinking of the shepherds in the Christmas story, and how that relates to people that I've known in my life. I think shepherds are present not only, a lot of times you have a pastor as compared to a shepherd and his congregation, his flock, but I think there's many shepherds within the church. And when I think back on that, I think to probably one of the early shepherds would be a Sunday school teacher. I remember Mrs. Sutton. And she was not only my Sunday school teacher, she also happened to be my next door neighbor. And I remember, and I think back, a lot of times we're in small groups and things like that. I think back to those times, and I think back to a lot of the lessons that she taught us. I know we probably talked about the Ten Commandments, and we had discussions on why those were important. And then one of the things that she had us do was memorize the 23rd Psalm, which is a shepherd's psalm. It was written by David, David being the shepherd himself, and of course the 23rd Psalm starts out, "The Lord is my shepherd." And it's really a psalm about God being there in your life through the difficulties that you face. And God is always there with you as your shepherd. So I thought that was kind of interesting to think back on her and then how it related back to the 23rd Psalm. The church family is great. Going back to your church family, getting a chance to visit church family, having grown up in the church, and my father being a minister and him serving numerous churches, getting the opportunity to go back to some of those churches recently, it was interesting because in the one church they just celebrated 150 years, and they've still got members there that have been serving 40, 50, and 60 years, some of the same faces. And we went back, and there was a woman there who was very involved in the food pantry, she's still at work in that ministry. So I would consider her to be a shepherd in that ministry, very steadfast to the church and the service. Well, I think one of the interesting things that I encountered as a youth in one of our churches was realizing there was a younger youth there, and came up somehow that he looked up to me in some way. And I thought that was surprising because he was kind of one of these prodigy type kids. He was very smart, and I think at the time was probably like a 3rd degree black belt. I mean, he was into things like that, and for him to look up to me and see me as a role model was surprising. As a shepherd, one of the shepherds in the church, you have to realize that you're making that impact through the way you live your life, and that can be not only in your service to the church, but a lot of times I think shepherds take that into their work environment as well. You've got people that always do the right thing at work, or they start up something that could very well be a church program, but it's something that they feel maybe at Christmas time you're collecting for the angel tree or collecting food, and that's something that they bring to work. So I think you have to look for ways, and it's something that we've talked about in our small group is Francis Chan talks about praying in the morning for God to give him that opportunity to be a servant, just finding an opportunity to share Christ with somebody else. So you have to look for ways to do that. Look for opportunities. The shepherd may sit in the congregation and, like a good shepherd, be very vigilant and take a look around, and they see that so-and-so isn't there that Sunday, and the shepherd carries a crook. It's got the hook on the end, and the hook is to reach over and grab that sheep that's fallen off the ledge and pull it back. Well, the good shepherd in the church does the same thing with a note or a phone call. They know who needs prayer. They may show up at the bedside even to show that they care and are wishing that you get well, and sending the prayers and well wishes from the rest of the congregation. like the shepherd, the shepherding job is not a glamorous job. It was a job kind of left to the youngest in the family, or maybe the older person in the family that couldn't do the real strenuous activities, but still very important because you are in charge of these sheep. You've got to care for these sheep, provide security, and the sheep in turn come to depend on you. They look to you for your guidance and to keep them safe. And imagine being a sheep out there in the pasture in the dark, and you hear a noise, like a child calling out to a parent. The sheep need that reassurance that the shepherd is there watching and protecting them from other animals or people that want to do them harm or steal them.